Well, the total sales volume is staggering. We're coming off a very healthy sales volume actually in Q3 2020. Q3 is when we had like a big sudden surge of like that stall of deals.
Welcome to another episode of Kiss My Assets. This is Jamison Manwaring. I am co-founder, CEO of Neighborhood Ventures, and excited today to have the Director of Research at ABI Multifamily, Drew Ricciardi. Did I say that right? Ricciardi.
There we go.
Drew puts together a quarterly report about the Phoenix metro area, and every time that this comes out, it's one of the first things that I print out. I think this just came out today or yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So this is right hot off the press. I'm looking at the report. One of the things for all of our listeners, you can access this report at abimultifamily.com.
Mm-hmm.
You just click ABI Research. And if you are interested in learning about multifamily, if you're interested in learning about the Phoenix metro area, you should just start reading this report. They do a great job, Drew and his team at ABI, in making this kind of USA Today-like, where a Goldman Sachs report that I used to put together that no one read because it's just text. This is like much better graphics and very, very readable. So happy to have this this report hot off the press and have Drew here in studio with us to discuss it. So Drew, just to kind of kick it off, what do you think the headlines are?
Well, first, I just want to thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I always love coming on here.
Yeah, I love having you on, and having this research is just invaluable. If you're an investor, you need to know how to do research, and so you guys make that so easy for folks.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also a great feeling when we have a quarter like this to come on, all positive news. So
Yeah.
not too much negative to take away from these kind of numbers.
Yeah, and we kind of knew that, we felt that, but then when you actually put the data behind it, which two or three things stood out to you the most as you put the data together?
Well, the total sales volume is staggering. We're coming off a very healthy sales volume actually in Q3 2020. Surprisingly, Q2 2020 was the one that got hit the hardest by COVID, where the slow up. But then Q3 is when we had like a big sudden surge of like that stall of deals.
So it's kind of a yearly change, which helps with seasonality and different things. And so typically you wouldn't see a 250% increase, but last year there was 1.33 billion in transactions in the Phoenix metro. This year it was 4.6 billion, so a 250% increase, so a ton of activity going on.
Absolutely. It's hot, hotter than ever, and it doesn't seem like it's slowing down, which is the beauty of it.
What else did popped out at you?
Well, the price per unit and the price per square foot jumping to almost a 70% increase year over year each. That is
Tough to kind of put in perspective. I mean, it's almost 100%, right? So
yeah, that is some serious growth.
Price per unit last year 164,000, this year 278,000.
And it wasn't like it was like a bargain during the COVID. It was price per units really weren't going down like
No.
It was still people were trying to find that deal, almost like the stock market with all the dips. They're trying to translate that to real estate, but it really wasn't the case. So these numbers, this growth is real.
Yeah. And then in the same vein, price per square foot was also up 67%. So price per unit up basically 70%, price per square foot up 67%.
Yeah.
Average rent in Phoenix Metro is now $1,536, and that was up from $1,251. So it's 23% year on year.
Which led the nation.
Led the nation in
Yes.
year on year growth.
Yep.
Wow.
Exactly. I just think this all speaks to just how people view Phoenix now. I talk to brokers and they tell me, now I don't know if this is relative in the total sales volume, but they tell me over half their people that are inquiring and putting in money are out of state investors. So you're seeing these people all over the nation circling Phoenix on a board somewhere in a boardroom.
You know, the next question is the average rent is $1,536. Is this pricing some folks out of the rental pool? And obviously $1,500 and call it $1,540 a month for rent. That's an average across the Phoenix metro, right?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
there's going to be some more affordable areas, there's going to be less affordable. To me, that
Absolutely.
still feels affordable coming from New York, where I was paying 4,600 a month for a 2-bed, 2-bath.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're coming from someone who lived in Phoenix or Arizona their whole life, they're like, wow, it's really getting unaffordable here. But when you look relative to the rest of the nation,
A lot of people are jumping at that chance
absolutely.
to go buy a building, hold on to it in a great market. It
With this consistent year over year rent growth and occupancy growth,
yeah.
strong demand across the board.
So for me as an investor and as an apartment owner, I feel like these numbers are a little higher than I was expecting. Is pretty tremendous, um, and then I guess that's the question, and you kind of already addressed it. Was there a big overhang in Q3, or you don't see a lot of
There
overhang from COVID in Q3 of
I really
2020?
don't. The
Yeah,
Q2 was the one that was really
right.
affected the most. Q3 performed well because I said that there was that stall of like pent up deal flow and it started to execute
Yeah.
over Q3.
So it's just we're
It's,
we're we're in a monster we're in the monster market
it's
right
just,
now.
yeah, it's we're riding a big tidal wave.
And then I think some of the other things that are important that are in this is, our occupancy rate is actually stronger than it was a year ago, 96.5%. Median household income is 63,883.
And that's on the lower side. We're waiting for new census numbers to come out, which are coming out very soon, and that will increase.
Increase.
Yeah.
Okay, so those
Same with per
numbers were,
capita income.
yeah. But the unemployment number being so low is really what really is an important thing to look at. And unemployment in Phoenix continues to be very, very low.
We were the first metro in the United States to regain all the jobs lost from COVID that were lost because of COVID,
Okay.
which is a pretty good stat to be
Yeah,
in the
that's
company.
great.
Yeah,
And if there were some political reasons why that happened. Our
mhm.
government was more friendly than
Which
some other
very
areas.
beneficial to us. Yes, which really that pro business deeming more things essential than other places really I think was a big kickstart to the rebound we witnessed here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when that happened, we had projects under construction and we didn't have to stop working. But
Hmm.
if in some markets in California and others, you have to
Yep.
stop working, you just have to sit there. That's really painful
Hmm.
to everyone.
Well, not only in Phoenix, but the whole nation, we're seeing increased renter demand, and developers are really trying to catch up to that. Like like we just talked about, other metros kind of fell behind the eight ball with not deeming construction essential, so not delivering enough units. But we're seeing select developers get really creative on how they're delivering units. They're talking about, or they're doing, they're converting, say, like obsolete office buildings,
Yep.
underperforming malls, out of date hotels, old industrial facilities, and converting them into apartments. And we're set to deliver 20,100 units nationally are projected to be converted into apartments.
I think that makes sense. I mean, obviously, our latest project is a hotel to apartment conversion, and uh, I also know with offices, the headline yesterday was that a lot of the big companies that had planned to be back in the office still aren't,
Hmm.
and now they're kind of saying, "Will we ever be back there?"
Hmm.
And at the same level, or will it be a a quasi home office work situation?
Exactly.
And so that makes sense because you have one area where multifamily there's not enough. There's some empty space and good buildings to convert.
Absolutely.
Any other trends that you think are important to look at?
I mean, on the demand side, to keeping up with demand, you're also seeing more high rises and more units going vertical
Density.
yeah, in spots that maybe in the past people kind of rebelled against in the area, not wanting to see, a 14-story or 7-story high rise
Yeah.
near their neighborhood.
Are there any of those projects that you can think of and kind of tell us where they're at, or is it just in general?
Well, you just go to, like, say, Tempe, for example. When
Yeah.
I was in Tempe, when I went to school at ASU, there's not nearly the amount of high rise apartments.
Yeah.
There was really just West 6 and a couple others, but now you're just seeing them sprout all
Yeah.
over the submarket. So,
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges for developers is having the density in their neighborhood.
mhm,
We have there's an acronym for it. I forget what it is, but not in my backyard,
yeah,
folks. Where they're like, yeah, we know we need more housing. we know we need more apartment buildings, but not around me.
Yeah, and you're seeing that especially in, like, San Diego. You can never build up. That was a big thing, like, you cannot,
Yeah.
sprawl upwards, and now that you're seeing it over there.
In California, it's a huge problem. The folks that are homeless there that that get priced out,
Mhm.
and so the answer to that, in my opinion, is we have to keep building in places like Phoenix that have always been flat. People have their yard and they have their neighborhood. We got to be okay with more density, and
Absolutely.
there's a lot of pushback on that from neighborhoods. But I think overall, people will come around to that.
It's a necessity, or it's just gonna cause more problems. The people who are fighting it are gonna be.
So yeah, huge quarter. Take a look at this report on abimultifamily.com. Uh, Great job, Drew, putting it together again. And
Thank
I
you.
have I've already read most of it, but then you have a little commentary, 2 or 3 pages on the back that I haven't read yet. So I look forward to reading that for some evening reading. Any final insights before we sign off for this quarter?
Just expect more great things coming. I don't see it slowing down that much. I mean, these were really high numbers, so it's hard to repeat these, but expect, like, consistent growth.
Yep.
Maybe not to this magnitude, but significant growth moving forward.